This is the Louie Tee Network.
See, first come the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then my team was 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Yeah, I seen the Super Bowl, but I heard they just play balls. A lot of teams had injuries. Sam Bradford had to take off. Go hard in the offseason, but you don't know the half. Before you know, we gon' look up, and we ready for the draft. They dressed up in that suit top, and I don't know how to act. They waiting, so patient, so they can put on that hat. Who else could it be? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks you where you was at, you tell her you in the lab room. Who else could it be? Who? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks where you was at, you can tell her you was in the lab room. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho! Who else could it be? Me, your me. Louie Tee, welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Santa T. Thank you for joining me here on this program. Week 16! You're not asking! Football league picks straight at you, but of course, as always, got a little bit of house cleaning to do. You know how we do it here on the program. Got to go back, clean up some things, tie up some loose ends in week number 15 before we can move on to week 16. And so let's do that really quickly. I'm coming to you here on Christmas Eve. So as always, on this Christmas edition of the In the Lab Room picks for the week, I must say happy holidays to you and yours. Hope that your Christmas, your New Year's, and we'll probably reconvene before New Year's, but in case we don't, hope that your Christmas, your New Year's, and all of that is filled with cheer and joy, and you enjoy the company of those that you love. Enjoy the day and just really celebrate and embrace family. I talk about family and how important that is to me, and hopefully it is to you as well. Understand what this day really means and give thanks for being here another year to celebrate Christmas. And I thank each and every single one of you as subscribers, viewers, whomever, for supporting this channel, supporting me, and giving me your time and your support. And I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So let's jump into these picks from week 15. Sean Hawk! My man Sean Hawk. And before I even jump into the picks for Sean Hawk, hey, where was that part 2, man? I was looking forward to part 2 of your picks last week, and I never got it. I was waiting and I never got it. But he's trying to start doing videos and giving his picks via video, and so I thought he actually did a really good job. I remember when I was in my infant stages, and I remember it just took me back, and I really enjoyed watching it. So if you guys get a chance, check him out, subscribe to his channel, drop a couple comments in there, just let him know you're watching and you're supporting. And so he went 12-4 last week, and off of that huge 14-2, and let me make a correction right now. Last week I threw the confetti and we celebrate! Sean Hawk going 15-1. He actually was 14-2. He actually sent me a message and said, "Hey man, I'm not gonna look at those picks again. I picked the Bucks. They lost. I actually was 14-2, not 15-1. So I went back, I looked, and I don't know how I glossed over that because I checked the list literally like 5 or 6 times. And I don't know how I glossed over the fact that he picked the Bucks, but whatever. Got that one wrong. He was actually 14-2, which still was the best in the lab room last week. He still was outstanding. But that puts me back in sole possession of the best record all time for a 1-week period in the lab room at 15-1. So I continue to be the sole holder of the best record in the lab room at 15-1. So I feel good about that. But big ups to Sean Hawk, 12-4 this week, following up his virtuoso performance last week with another really good week of picking games, as he picked Seattle to be his sole survivor pick, and they took care of Cleveland in short order to get him a W there as well. So really good week for Sean Hawk. And again, if he's continuing to make videos, check him out and give him some love on his channel as well. Carmen Rana, 11-5, sole survivor Seattle. They got it done much like Sean Hawk did. Picked Seattle, they got it done over Cleveland. Carmen Rana has continued to be really consistent. Sean Hawk and Carmen Rana came on the scene right around the same time, And I challenge you to find many others who have been better in that stretch. And I think Carmen Rana, Sean Hawk, and Flash Goodwin all kind of came on board around the same time. And so I think those three have been really outstanding since coming on board here and jumping in the lab room circuit, stepping up to the challenge. And Carmen Rana has been a model of consistency since coming on board, and 11-5 continues to show that just getting it done week after week after week with the picks. So Carmen Rana, another bang up job at 11-5 in week 15. Eduardo O'Neal, 12-4 for Eduardo O'Neal. Another strong week for Eduardo. He's been really hot of late, and he continues on that hot streak with a 12-4 week. This was an easy week, in case you haven't noticed. A lot of 12-4s, 11-5s. There was no reason to finish below 11-5 this week, to be honest with you, unless you went out on a limb and picked some games. And even I did that. I mean, I picked Cincinnati, and I talked about that on the picks week. I was in my feelings. I was like Carl Thomas. I was emotional. I was emotional last week. And so I made a really poor pick, but I thought, and if you actually watch the game, San Francisco had opportunities. Cincinnati didn't do anything special in that game, but San Francisco did what they've done all year. They turned the football over. They were terrible, and I gave them more credit at home than they deserved, and they went out and showed me why they didn't deserve the credit that I was giving them, and so I deserved that loss. But really, you had to try hard to get anything more than 5 losses this week. There were some games that went some ways that you could have not maybe forecast. I mean, Jacksonville, Atlanta, they were on a 6-game losing streak on the road. You thought Jacksonville had a chance to win this game and let Atlanta come in there and get them. I mean, you look at another game that could have went either way, Carolina and Giants, which was insane juggernaut did. He picked the Giants to win that game, if I'm not mistaken, and they didn't get it done, but he came close. So there's some games that went one way or the other, which you could have flipped the coin. I mean, the Monday night game, Detroit and the Saints. Everybody picked the Saints, thought the Saints were going to take care of business, and the Lions jump up and bite them. And so, you didn't get that on the right side of that one. The Texans game, that was crazy. I expected they had Brandon Whedon, for God's sakes. Come on, man, what are we talking about here? And they won the game in Indy. So, I mean, who saw that coming? The Steelers game, the Broncos were up 27-10 at half. Who thought that the Steelers were going to come back and win that game? I mean, that could have went the opposite way. I think everybody had the Steelers. So, I mean, these games could have went anyway. And so to finish, 11-5, 12-4, 13-3, this was the type of week you were supposed to do that. Anything less than 11-5, you really tried hard and went out of your way to make some special picks and they didn't come out for you. But you should have had at least double digits. Nobody went below double digits, and that's the beauty of everything this week, is everybody did what they were supposed to do. And that includes Eduardo O'Neal, who went 12-4. Flash Goodwin, good win. And I talked about Carmen Rana, I talked about Sean Hawk and how they've been exceptional since jumping on the circuit. I don't think anyone has been better than Flash Goodwin over the last 6 weeks. And I think they've been on the circuit for about 8 weeks now. But I don't think anybody's been better than Flash Goodwin over the last month and a half. If we sat here and accumulated records and took an aggregate of what we've all done over the last 6 weeks, I think Flash Goodwin might have the best record out of everybody combined. I mean, he's been outstanding, and 13-3, that's the watermark, the high mark of week 15. No one was better than Flash Goodwin here in the lab room in week number 15. He got it done with 13-3, and he was outstanding. And he made some picks that, he had to be special to get to 13-3. He picked the Lions, and I think he had the Texans. And in order to get to 13-3, you had to do both of those, not one or the other. Because some of you picked the Texans and got away with that, but just about none of us had the Lions beating the Saints. I think there were like 2 people who picked the Lions over the Saints, maybe 3 of you, but you didn't have the Texans winning as well. And then you would probably have needed to get maybe a Falcons in there or something. You had to do something else. Really, in order, you needed both of those, and then you needed to just be clean the rest of the way and taking some L's that everybody took. Pretty much, a lot of us took some of the ones that you would expect us to take, where you just didn't really see it coming. So there were a couple of those up and down the sheet. A lot of people lost the Thursday night game. I didn't, but I threw that away by picking Cincinnati. So, it was a great week for Flash Goodwin. Got it done, 13-3, best in the lab room this week. So big ups to Flash Goodwin for being the best in the lab room in week number 15. Insane juggernaut, sole survivor pick of New England, 10-6. Not a great record, especially when this was an easy week. But again, still double-digit victory, so respect is given there. But he went out and tried to be special, and there's nothing wrong with that. I will always commend a guy that still gets double digits, that tries to be special, because if you hit it, you hit home runs. If you swing it for the fences and you connect, you're going to really knock it out of the park, and then you're really going to get the credit you're looking for. You know, it's easy to go chalk and just pick all the teams that are supposed to win. So every week there are going to be some upsets. It's your job to try to go in there and dig them out. He tried. He picked the Giants. They didn't get it done. Then he picked the Bills. They didn't get it done. That's how you find yourself with 6 losses right there. You know, then you lose a Monday night game that you didn't expect to lose. You probably picked the Jaguars. Didn't expect to lose that game. Probably had the Rams losing on Thursday night. So boom, just like that, you're at 5 losses. And you didn't even, do anything wrong in your mind. So that's how it happens. 10-6, still a solid week, still double digits. Insane juggernaut, 10-6 in week 15. ProTech, I always tell you to check out his blog. I always leave it down in the show notes, so check him out. Gives a very thoughtful analysis of a lot of these games. And when you sit down and you comb through these games and give it thought, and you're not just picking teams on a whim, that's how you end up 12-4 like ProTech did in this week. And he's been really good over the last 3 weeks or so. I remember he came on at the beginning and he was a little suspect, and I gave him some grief, and since then he's turned it up and been really good here in the lab room. And this is another fine week by ProTech, 12-4. Didn't send me the Thursday night game. I'm assuming he picked Tampa Bay and lost that game, but the 15 games that he sent me, he was 12-3. I'm gonna dock him a loss for the Thursday nighter, so 12-4 for ProTech here in the lab room. Another stellar week for ProTech as he continues to pick some really good games and get the job done. JT WWE, 11-5. Another one of these guys that's been somewhat inconsistent this season, but he's been good of late, and he's really been getting these double-digit victories, and he's really been coming on. And it's funny because of some of these weeks he's like, man, this is gonna be a bad week, and he'll turn around and get 11-5, 10-6, and I'm like, I thought you said this is gonna be a bad week for you, man. And so when he thinks he's gonna knock it out of the park, that's when he turns out to be 9-7, 8-8, and so he's been really a lot more consistent of late. These last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been really starting to hit his stride, making picks, and I think he's got a good handle on what's going on. And you see it by him getting 11 victories in week 15 and continuing to start to really turn things around and be on the up and up this season. Money Miz made fun of me last week, got a nice chuckle out of him. Say, hey man, it's getting a little bumpy out there, watch your step. And he went 11-5 last week, and another solid week for Money Miz. And I told you, he's been coming on. He stepped back on the scene, and he got a rude awakening from the league. They dropped a 7-9 on his lap. He's like, hey man, you think you're gonna just come in here? You know what time it is. And ever since then, he's been making much better picks. And again, another solid week for Money Miz, 11-5, as he continues to start to get his feet wet and get his traction here in the lab room, 11-5, which is exactly what your man Louie Tee did. And I told you, I made some boneheaded decisions. I canceled out my win on Thursday with the Rams by making the Cincinnati, San Francisco pick and picking the 49ers. And so I deserve to be 11-5 this week. Should have been 12-4. I really think I could have got to 13-3 because I shouldn't have picked the 49ers. And I really sat there and I struggled. And I mulled over Monday night. I literally had Detroit, and then I flipped my pick at the last second. And you know how I feel about changing your initial answer. It's usually the biggest mistake you can make, and I made that mistake, and that's why I paid. So I'll take 11-5. Overall, 145-79 on the season. Not great, but again, it's progress. It's not like what I did last week, which was horrible when I was 500. So this is 11-5. I'm not bragging about 11-5 because this was an easy week. Everyone should be 11-5 or better this week. And so we'll see what happens this week. Feel good about my pick. I actually think this is another easy week, to be honest with you. The only thing that could happen is there are a lot of teams, a lot of bad teams playing one another. And when it's bad teams playing one another, you generally pick the home team. That's my way of going about it. That's my way of kind of saying, you know what, I do what Vegas does in these games. When it's two bad teams, you just give the edge to the home team and make them the favorite. And that's generally what I do. That's my philosophy. But even the home teams in these situations, their quarterbacks aren't playing, and you're like, damn, I don't even know if that's a safe bet or not. So let's run through week 16 real quick and give you my picks, and so you can get out of here and enjoy your family and the festivities of Christmas. San Diego at Oakland, Thursday night football. Charles Woodson's last game, not only as a Raider, but in the league. This guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got to go out on top. I want to see him get a pick, is what I want to see on Thursday night. Last game at the O.co. I want to see Uncle Charles get one. I'd love to see him take it to the crib as well. But either way, this is a Raiders game right here. I don't like the Chargers in this spot, even though they won last week. Chargers are still a bad football team. Give me the Raiders to win this game on Thursday night like they did last season. Washington at Philly, you know where you got to go if you're looking for the pick there. Got to come to my Redskins Bowl and go for week number 16. So I'm going to skip over that and go to Indy at Miami. It's a bad game. It's plain and simple. Two bad teams. Don't like this game at all. Miami's at home. Give me the Dolphins in this football game. Chicago Bears at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Two teams, I'm not going to call them bad teams, but neither one of these teams are making the postseason. Tampa Bay's at home. They haven't been playing good football. Lost both of their last two games after getting to 6-6 on the season. Now they're 6-8. Bears have hit a slide of late, and they were in a good position looking to try to make the postseason. Give me Tampa Bay. They're at home. They're better than the Bears. Give me Tampa Bay to win this football game. Cleveland at Kansas City. You know what I'm going with. This team is red hot, 7-game winning streak. Or is it 8? I think we're at 8 now because they're 9-5 and they were once 1-5 on the season. So we're at 8 games. You really think I'm going to pick Cleveland to stop that streak? Come on, man, be serious. Give me the Chiefs at home to make it a 9-game winning streak. New England at the Jets. This is a tough game because the Jets are at home. They know that the playoffs is right there in front of them. They just got to win. New England worked that impressive last week against Tennessee. They're somewhat banged up. No, not somewhat. They are banged up. Still picking New England, though. I don't trust the Jets. And again, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know how I feel about that. Give me New England to win that game. I may regret that one. Dallas at Buffalo. Both of these teams are bad. And even though Buffalo record says they're not bad, they're bad right now. There's turmoil there, a lot of finger pointing. I don't like where that is, but Dallas isn't much better. They got Kellen Moore at quarterback. They're bad. Give me Buffalo. They're at home. They should win that game. Carolina at Atlanta. Until someone beats them, I'm going to keep picking the Panthers. So even though Atlanta's at home, and I think if they're going to lose a game this season in the regular season, this is it right here. I'm still picking Carolina until somebody knocks them off that horse. Not messing with those guys. They're going to get it done. 49ers at Detroit. Taking the Lions. They're at home. They're the better team. Two bad teams. Home team. Lions. Taking the Lions. Houston at Tennessee. The Texans went on the road and did the improbable last week. Can they do it again? Tennessee's not good, and I don't think they're going to play their rookie stud quarterback, Marcus Mariota. So if you're telling me Zach Menberg is starting, I got to take Houston in this game to remain atop the AFC South. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. We already know what this is. Steelers are hot. They're trying to get into the postseason. The Ravens are not. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to go to Baltimore and win that football game. Jacksonville at New Orleans. This is another situation. Two teams not making the postseason. Saints pissed all over themselves last week. I really don't want to pick the Saints. But then I looked at Jacksonville and they had a golden opportunity at the crib to get it done versus Atlanta. And look what they did. I don't like Jacksonville in this spot. I don't like New Orleans. They're at home though. I don't care if Drew Brees plays or not. I actually don't think they have a bad backup situation. So with Luke McCown in, Drew Brees in, doesn't matter. Give me the Saints at home to win that game. St. Louis at Seattle. Seattle's red hot. And they usually beat the Rams at home. Now, they struggle with St. Louis in St. Louis, but at home, they usually find a way to get it done. And the way they're playing right now, I don't think it really matters. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one got ugly. Give me Seattle to win that game. Green Bay at Arizona. To me, this is the primetime matchup of the week. This could go either way. No Tyrann Mathieu really makes you a little queasy in that secondary, but it's not like the Packers have been lighting it up in anybody's secondary this season. So it's not like it's the old Packers with Jordy Nelson and company that could get you for 37 any given week. These boys are just getting by, and so I don't know if that injury is going to kill them or not. But with all that being said, I still like the Arizona Cardinals. I still think they're one of the best teams, not only in the NFC, but in the league. And because of that, I still expect them to go at home and beat the Green Bay Packers and sew up a first-round bye in the NFC playoffs. Giants at Minnesota. No Odell Beckham Jr. spells trouble for the G-men. Give me the Vikings in this game. And I don't know if Adrian Peterson is going to be healthy, but I expect him to play, and that should be good enough to get them a W over the Giants. Cincinnati at Denver, Monday Night Football. That is going to be a doozy. No Andy Dalton against that Denver defense spells trouble. And even though Cincinnati's saying the same thing, no Peyton Manning, you giving me a young boy, Brock Osweiler, we going to do him just like we did Blaine Gabbert last week. Force 3 interceptions, may even force a turnover, a fumble, and get 4 of them things and still win the game. I hear you, but this is in San Francisco. I like Denver and their defense more than I like Cincinnati and their defense. Give me Denver on Monday night to beat the Cincinnati Bengals and get back on the winning track. And so those are my picks for Week 16. Feel damn good about it, but then again, when don't I feel good about my picks? If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab. We'll come back and join me as I continue to break down anything. And now, in the National Football League, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Enjoy the holidays. We'll come back and reconvene, man. Open the gifts, have fun, drink eggnog, enjoy the holidays. It's what family and this time is all about. See you next time. Merry Christmas. There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie Tee, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.